Welcome back. If you listened to part 1 last week, you already know the punchline. AI is no longer the thing that helps you write the email. It's the thing that sends the email, books the meeting, preps the brief, and has your weekly audit waiting for you before you finish your first coffee, of which it is mine, Paul.
Yeah, cheers. And if you haven't listened to part 1, go back. Seriously, this episode builds on it, and the use cases we walk through are the foundation for everything we're about to cover. But here's the quick version.
So, the speed round.
Yes, the speed round, part 1. We went deep on Claude Cowork, real use cases, not demos. The Sunday week prep that used to cost me 90 minutes is gone. The meal planner that reads what's already in the fridge, checks the calendar, builds a plan, and pushes a shopping list to bring before I've even woken up. The daily morning briefing with calendar, weather, tasks, and research already done. The overdue task scanner that gives you an honest, prioritised brief instead of letting things quietly rot in your backlog.
And just to kind of interject, Paul will be writing a vlog on his meal calendar, because I tell you what, I'm keen to sort of follow that guide, so we will get that over to you very shortly. But planning Friday, the weekly audit, that one generally changed how I think about my week. Having an AI look at everything you planned, everything you actually did, and tell you the uncomfortable truth about the gap. It's like having a personal operations director who doesn't have feelings to spare.
Yeah, and also the family weekend planner, which turned a subscription folder full of like National Trust memberships into an actual bank holiday itinerary. That one got the biggest reaction from listeners, I believe.
Yeah, and we also did the risks, didn't we? We did properly the data governance, the trust and the verification, the danger of automating the wrong things, and of course the dependency risk, which hit Paul in real life when the briefing didn't run one particular morning.
Yeah, I could say. I genuinely didn't know what to do myself, but which tells you something, but obviously I'll just boot my laptop and press run. Yes. So here's what I want to know. It's been a week since we recorded part 1, Sean. You've had Cowork running. Be honest, what's actually happened?
It's been quite practical, to be honest. One of my biggest pains, I think I mentioned to you before, Paul, is our CRM follow-ups. So we've got a CRM system. We do all the automation. We have people go from our websites and obviously add themselves to a lead on which we are supposed to follow up. But I'll be honest, I'm guilty, and so are my staff, of missing reminders when things get busy. So what I've done is build a separate form using Coworker that sits outside of the CRM. It's much quicker, cleaner, and it prompts me to update leads properly instead of replying on notifications I might ignore. And the interesting bit is I've taken it a step further. I've embedded a direct link into OpenAI Whisper. So instead of typing updates, I can just speak them. And that's massively speeding things up, especially when you're jumping between calls or on the move. And then the second use case is more like what you've been doing. I'm using it to plan my week that Sunday morning. So that's definitely ramped up recently. And instead of juggling everything in my head or across different tools, I'm getting it to structure my week, prioritize tasks, and basically keep me on track. So for me, it's less about the flashy AI and more about removing friction, just making the day-to-day stuff quicker and actually getting things done, as this is actually better than my own prep. Not because I'm lazy, because it pulled context from places I wouldn't have thought to check at 7:30 in the morning.
What surprised you most?
Well, just really how quickly you start depending on it. I mean, by Wednesday, I wasn't even thinking about whether to check it. It's something there. And then Thursday, it flagged a client invoice that was overdue. I mean, again, brilliant. And I completely missed it on my own review. And that alone paid for the subscription of Claude.
And I think we're painting a picture of and it is like for a business owner, I think, and anyone who's got a lot of tasks and stuff, it's transforming. But what didn't work, what hasn't gone smoothly?
Well, I tried to get too clever too fast, set up 3 tasks on one day because I got excited, and 2 of them needed tweaking, and I ended up spending more time fixing them than actually saving me time, which, and I hate admitting this, is exactly what you told our listeners, Paul, in part 1.
Yep, start with 1, run it for 2 weeks, calibrate. I believe those were my exact words.
They were, and you're right, and noted publicly on this podcast, Paul.
Yeah, awesome. So, part two, here's what's coming up on this episode. First, we're going to compare Cowork versus the alternatives out there. ChatGPT with ChatGPT 5.4 and its new computer use, Gemini in the Google ecosystem, and the open source agent angle as well. So we're going to do an honest assessment of them all.
Yeah, and then that's the actionable takeaways. 3 specific things you can do this week, not next quarter, this week.
Yeah, we got something new for this episode, a What We Got Wrong segment, something we've been reflecting on since part 1 that we think is important enough to correct.
And in the news, GPT 5.4's native computer use, Apple business going free, and the MCP protocol hitting 97 million installs. 3 stories, one very clear thread connecting them all.
Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, comparison time. And this is important because a genuinely useful tool review has to include the alternatives.
Yeah, most obvious first, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and GPT 5.4 is actually in the news this week. We'll get specifics in the news section a bit later, but it now has native computer use built in. The capability gap on paper is closing.
Yeah, and in theory, here's my honest take, is ChatGPT's 5.4's agent capabilities are impressive. The benchmark numbers are real, but impressive in benchmark conditions and reliable in sustained production workflows with real business data are genuinely different things. I'd want more real-world evidence from founders actually running it in anger before I handed it unsupervised access to my CRM and calendar.
And Cowork has a specific design philosophy around how it handles workspace and files. It's not just ChatGPT with a mouse. The integration model, the scheduling mechanism, the way workflows are structured, it's purpose-built for the personal and business productivity use case.
So what about Gemini?
Yeah, it was a strong case. If you're all on Google Workspace, the native Gmail, the calendar, and the Drive integration is generally excellent. It's hard to beat in that ecosystem. What it doesn't yet have is the same depth of custom workflow scheduling. You can't easily say, run this complex multi-step logic every Thursday at 4 p.m. with specific data sources. That flexibility is where Cowork leads right now.
Yeah, I think it's also worth noting, just from our own experiences with Gemini, is we use Gemini a lot, is that it can only connect to web-based stuff. So that's the big difference with Claude Cowork, is it looks at local files as well. So it can connect to anything. It's got an MCP, so it has all the web connected stuff, but then also it can read local files. It can go and it can literally organize your file system because it's on your desktop. And that's one of the reasons we have got both, is the honest answer. I run Gemini as my general chat, but I use Claude Cowork for all of the heavy lifting in the business. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's a good point you mentioned there, because when I installed Claude Cowork, I was wondering why we have this desktop version.
Yeah. Have you used it on your phone yet?
I haven't.
You connected. So when you have Cowork installed, one of the settings will be like, don't go to sleep. So effectively, even though I close my laptop lid, my computer's pretty much always on. And then from your phone, there's on the Claude app, there's an area called dispatch, and you're actually talking to your computer. So you see, we went on one of our weekend trips, whatever. I was sat in the car, and it was like surreal, really. I mean, it's old technology. It's not like brand new technology. We've all been able to VM into computers and stuff, but to sit there and go, oh, can you run the meal planner today? It's just really, really good. But it's what users need to understand is it's all running on your local computer. That's the thing. Whereas Gemini and stuff like that is cloud-based. It can connect. It doesn't know anything about your local file system. You have to typically upload files for it to work with them. So should we look at the open source angle? So this one's worth naming because it's not just a hobbyist story. There are entrepreneurs. We've seen this particularly in markets with really heavy data regulations like China, who are taking open source agent frameworks and attaching their local LLMs to them. So the same pattern, different brain underneath. No data leaving your infrastructure, no external API calls. And obviously ClaudeBot is the one that they're all using and adapting.
Which sounds complex, but for business with genuine compliance constraints, NHS data, legally privileged information, financial data, and specific regulatory regimes, it's not optional complexity, it's a necessity.
Yeah, and I think for most founders listening to this show, probably not the right move in 26. Setup overhead is significant. You're maintaining infrastructure, not using a service, but definitely keep an eye on it. The pattern is right, even if the tooling isn't turnkey yet.
So, clean summary, Paul?
Yeah, I think Cowork strengths like the integration depth with the tools founders actually use, scheduling capability, the quality of Claude, the underlying model for nuanced multi-step reasoning, genuine pace of development, new integrations regularly. It's got weaknesses. I mean, the price is often quoted by people as a ceiling. If you're scaling across a full team, some integrations more mature than others, but it's still a relatively young product with the rough edges, that implies really.
Yeah, ChatGPT agents, brand and trust, massive ecosystem. The GPT 5.4 computer news capability is generally impressive. Still finding its production readiness feat for sustained business workflows, and that's my view.
Yeah, and Gemini, I mean, like us, it's brilliant if you're in the native space. It's more limited if you're not. Scheduling depth for complex automations isn't quite there yet. As I said, it's purely just web connected services.
Yeah, and open source agent frameworks offer maximum flexibility, no data sovereignty concerns, no vendor lock-in, meaningful setup and maintenance overhead. Right tool for technical teams with specific compliance needs. Not the right call, though, for a 12-person professional services firm in 2026.
Right, let's make this concrete. 3 things you can do this week, Sean.
Okay, the first one then, Paul.
Okay. Sorry. Write down your top 3 admin time sinks. So not general admin, specific sequences. So every Monday morning, I spend 45 minutes checking X, then updating Y, and then writing Z. Write it as though you're briefing someone to do this for you, just like you delegate it. Be specific about where the information lives, what the output should look like, and where it should go. You've just done 80% of the work of setting up a Cowork task. And even if you don't use Cowork, that document is still genuinely valuable. You'll immediately spot things you can stop doing altogether.
Okay, and the second one, Paul?
Yes, it's what, what you alluded to earlier. So just start with 1 scheduled task, not 5, just 1. Pick the one that will give you the biggest relief. It doesn't even have to be business related. We're business owners, but the Sunday prep or the daily briefing or the weekly audit. Run it for 2 full weeks before you add anything else. You just need to collaborate, verify and trust before you extend. Trust is built through observed behavior over time. So give it the time, really.
And then the third and final one?
Yeah, do an inventory of what you're currently doing manually that involves data you already have in digital systems. So like your calendar, your task list, your email, like you mentioned, Sean, your CRM, project management documents. If the data is already digital and the action you'll take is repeatable and rule-based, it is 100% a Cowork candidate. That audit alone will give you a list of 10 things you could probably stop doing yourself.
And I'll add a bonus one, Paul. Try the family use case first because it makes the case more viscerally than a business example. When an AI saves you 45 minutes of Sunday morning logistics and you're sitting there drinking your coffee while it handles it, that's the moment it stops being abstract. That's the moment it clicks.
Yeah, it's Cowork at machine speed. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, so that's a new segment then, Paul. And this was your idea, so you can go first.
So reflecting on part 1, there's something we got wrong, or maybe not wrong, but something we overcomplicated. And I think it matters enough to say it out loud. So
go on then, Paul.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time in part 1 talking about scheduled tasks, structured workflows, specific integrations, all useful, all real. But the thing I keep seeing when I talk to other founders and business owners about this is the actual barrier isn't technical, it's psychological. People think they need to arrive with like a perfect prompt. They think they need to have the whole workflow mapped out before they sit down. They think, right, there's a right way to use it, and they're going to get it wrong. So they don't even start.
Yeah, the blank page problem, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So exactly the blank page problem. And the advice I'm now giving people, and I wish I'd said this clearly in part 1, is don't overthink it. Just sit in front of it with 1 task, 1 real thing that will actually help you next week, and ask it how it can help. Don't try to write the perfect prompts. Don't try to over engineer it. Just describe the problem you're talking to, like you're talking to a smart colleague who's just walked into the room.
Yeah, don't be like me, like a kid in a sweet shop. Just like Paul said, just take one specific task.
Yeah.
Because the best prompts are written anyway, conversationally, not in some specific syntax.
Yeah, and I've seen people spend like 45 minutes trying to write the perfect prompt for a task. And then they do like meta prompting. They'll take the prompt into Gemini and then they'll to hop it onto chat and they'll try and get this huge thing. Actually, you could have just spoke to it through Whisper and got the same result. So yeah, it's people trying to write the perfect prompt for a task that would have taken AI 3 minutes if they just said, here's what I need. How would you approach this? The iteration is where the value is. So it's not the first attempt. You give it a rough brief, it comes back with something, you review it, you refine it, 2 or 3 rounds, you've got something genuinely helpful. And I think that's why we've been saying about, this kind of collaborate it, but then review and refine it over 2 weeks. I've got the very first scheduled tasks that I set up weeks ago. And the other day you just go, oh, can you amend this scheduled task to now do this as well? Because you have an idea. So it's really iterative. It's like 1% changes. It's not perfection. If you gave perfection, you'll never start.
No. And it's the same principle as prototyping in software, isn't it? Don't design a perfect system. Build something that actually works, learn from it, iterate. The AI actually makes that loop faster, not slower if you let it.
Yeah. And here's the thing people don't expect is once they see the value, once it's actually done something for you that's useful with your real data for your real business, the ideas come thick and fast. You don't need a prompts engineering course. You need one good experience, and that unlocks everything.
So the correction to part 1 is we made it sound structured, and the structure is real. It's how you scale it as a starting point. Just start imperfectly.
Just start.
Exactly.
The worst first prompt you'll ever write is infinitely better than the perfect one you'll never get round to.
And this leads us perfectly into something we want to try.
Yeah, a challenge, a proper one. Not please leave a review, although do that as well, but something you can actually do this week that will move the needle.
And here it is.
Yeah, so this week, we want you to write down your top 3 admin time sinks, the specific repeatable sequences we talked about, and then here's the important bit. Pick one, sit down with an AI tool, Cowork, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever you've got, and just ask it, here's what I want to do every week. And how would you help me do this? Don't overthink the prompt. Don't try to be perfect. Just describe the task and see what happens.
And then tell us about it. Post it in the Control-Alt-Dev community on YouTube.
Yeah.
Direct message us. Tag us in on LinkedIn. We want to hear what you tried, what worked, and what didn't.
Yeah. And we've also set up just using one of our business emails. So podcast@ggapps.co.uk. If you message that, that's a great way to get in touch with myself and Sean. So here's the incentive. The best submissions, the most interesting use cases people send in, we'll take the top ones and we'll build them live on the YouTube channel. So real workflows, real data, real results, step by step. If your admin nightmare makes the cut, you get to watch an AI dismantle it in real time.
And that's generally good content. I'm already looking forward to it.
Yeah, so are we, Sean? Should we do the news?
Let's do the news.
The first story this week, GPT 5.4 dropped by OpenAI on March the 5th. First general purpose model to ship with native computer use baked in. The headline numbers that we talked about benchmark, 75% on the OS World Verified benchmark. Human expert baseline is 72%. So AI is now beating humans at operating computers.
And it's generally a significant number, that, because not a benchmark footnote, because this isn't AI that can write emails about doing things. This is AI that can actually click your mouse and type on your keyboard in software you've already used.
Yeah, so like Excel, your CRM, browser-based tools, all without a custom API, without any integration, without any developer time. It can see your screen and it can operate it.
And that is honestly what Cowork has been doing in a more controlled, scheduled context, except now OpenAI has put it in front of 200 million ChatGPT users.
Yeah, and that number interests me more than the computer use headline in the context window. So like 6.5 million tokens. That's your entire project history, your entire client file, your entire knowledge base processable in a single call. For account management prep, for sales research, for due diligence, that changes what's possible, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's available at £20 a month on ChatGPT Plus. So no enterprise contract is needed, no procurement process.
Yeah, so and the honest counter argument, I guess, is 75% accuracy sounds impressive until you do the maths. So 1 in 4 actions might be wrong. So in a demo, fine. But in your live CRM with real customer data, that's a serious problem without a human checkpoint. So don't let it loose on financial records or CRM data that's unsupervised. I wouldn't do that yet.
No. The strategic point though, Paul.
Yeah, so the founders who develop the instinct for what to automate and how to brief an AI well right now, that's the compounding advantage. So the technology will be better next year. You know, it's this old adage, we're working with the worst version of AI today because it's only going to get better at the speed of light sort of thing. So the people who've been practicing this since 2023, the people who've been practicing this since 2026 will be better too.
Yeah. We've mentioned this on several podcasts, I said, look, don't waste your prompts because it costs you money. But Paul's argument was that, you've got to be testing it, playing with it, understanding it, but you don't want to be asking, what's the internet in 1996?
Exactly. Like we've talked, like you say in previous episodes about this AI agent era is coming soon. It's 100% here now. It's incredible, and it's like I think what you just touched on there about, at the end of the day, you don't want to be that person who's saying, "Do I need a website?" It's like, So, okay, story number 2.
Yep.
So, Apple goes free on April the 14th. So it's just gone free when we're recording this.
It has, and it announced on, I think it was March 24th, though, it goes live.
It's my birthday.
Yay!
Sorry, carry on.
And it goes live, as you say, on Tuesday, April the 14th. A unified free platform replacing Apple Business Manager, Apple Business Essentials, and Apple Business Connect. The key features are device management, business email with custom domains, calendar, company directory, and blueprints. Zero-touch device setup.
Yeah, the 3 MDM is the quiet store that is actually the most immediately valuable. Device management for small teams running iPhones and Macs has been a genuine cost and a pain point for years. From Tuesday, that's gone.
And business email with custom domain at zero cost. I mean, that's a direct shot at Google Workspace Starter, which is £5.20 per user per month.
Yeah, however, and this matters, the email and calendar features require iOS 26, iPad OS 26, and Mac OS 26, which don't ship until autumn 2026 at the earliest. So the headline is significantly ahead of the deliverable.
Well, it's a classic Apple, isn't it? Announce the full vision in spring, ship the headline features in autumn, and collect the PR twice. They've been doing this since Steve Jobs was on stage with the iPhone, haven't they?
Yeah. The thing I keep coming back to with free from Apple is you're being invited deeper into the ecosystem. Your business email, your devices, your calendar, your company directory, all Apple controlled. So for some founders, that's fine, maybe ideal. For other mixed device teams, Windows first operations, or anyone with data sovereignty sensitivities, it's a lock-in question worth carefully thinking about, I think.
Well, yeah, and is this Apple generally creating SMB value or building a fence you'll never be able to get out of?
Yeah, probably both simultaneously, to be honest. I mean, my practical advice is go and claim the free MDM from April 14th. It's immediately useful, there's no downside, but do not cancel your Google or Microsoft subscription just yet until the email actually ships and it works reliably in autumn.
Yeah, do not cancel your Google Workspace.
Noted. Moving on. So third story, and I want to spend a bit of time on this because it directly underpins everything we've talked about today. And I think it's the most strategically important of the 3, even if we won't get the biggest headlines.
MCP, the Model Context Protocol, Anthropic protocol for connecting AI agents to external tools, databases, and APIs, crossed 97 million installs on March 25th. 16 months after it launched in late 2024. That's amazing.
Yeah, and apparently it's the fastest adopted AI infrastructure standard in history. Faster than REST APIs, they reach comparable scale, and faster than GraphQL as well.
Yeah, and the reason that matters is MCP is the plumbing layer. It's the thing that makes co-work possible. It's what allows AI agents to connect to your actual business systems, not just generate text about them.
Yeah, the analogy I heard and immediately started using everywhere is MCP is to AI agents what HTTP was to the web. Before HTTP, every website was a custom built silo. After it, there was a shared language and everything could talk to everything. So MCP is that moment for AI.
Yeah, and before MCP, every AI integration was a bespoke build, custom API work, developer time, months of effort. And then after MCP, if your tool supports it and the AI agent supports it, they can connect in hours.
Yeah, and the governance move is the unreported signal. So Anthropic donated MCP to the Agentic AI Foundation, a directed fund under the Linux Foundation, co-founded with OpenAI and Block. So this is infrastructure, not a product move. They're not trying to monetize the protocol. They're making it a shared standard for the industry.
Yeah, the next foundation backing is not a small detail. That's how you get multi-decade infrastructure stability. That's the move you make when you want this to be the TCP IP of AI agents.
Yeah, so the practical question I think for founders this week, not next year, this week is do your core business tools support MCP yet? Does your CRM, does your accounting software, does your help desk in project management platform?
Yeah, because if they don't, ask them. The vendors who answer that question well in 2026 are the ones who will be essential in 2027. The ones who look blank are the ones you'll be migrating away from.
Yeah, and we've I've talked about this. I think we used to have something like 30 subscriptions for different parts of SaaS, um, and we're down something like five. And the number one reason I left the majority of the software we were paying for is because it didn't integrate with an MCP. And I've got this tool here that can do the same thing, but it does integrate with an MCP. It's such an advantage. So if you are listening and you are building a SaaS product and you haven't rolled out an MCP for your own integration, but you have an API, you really need to get your MCP sorted.
Yeah.
So there's already 5,800 plus MCP servers covering databases, CRMs, cloud services, developer tools. There's very likely one for whatever stack you're already using. The question is whether you actually know it even exists.
Yeah, 97 million installs includes a massive number of developer test environments. Real SMB production, deployments are a fraction of that headline number. Don't assume widespread adoption means your specific legacy software is ready.
Yeah, true. But the direction is irreversible. MCP is winning. Start positioning your stack to benefit from it. This is the plumbing, like you said, behind the AI age, and understanding it is now a founder level competency.
So, what do we actually cover then, Paul?
So we did the comparison of Cowork, ChatGPT, Gemini, and some open source, honest strengths and weaknesses for each. No favorites, just where each one makes sense for different founders in different situations.
And we got 3 actionable takeaways out the door. Write down your time sinks. Start with one task. Don't do what I did. Audit your digital data for automation candidates. And the bonus, try the family use case first, because nothing sells the concept faster than getting your Sunday mornings back.
Yeah, we did the new what we got wrong segment, which I think might become a regular thing. The message, don't overthink it, like you said. Don't wait for the perfect prompt. Sit down with one real task and just ask how it can help. Iterate from there. The worst first prompt is infinitely better than the perfect one you never write.
And we did 3 news stories that all pointed the same direction. GPT 5.4 brings computer use to 200 million people. Apple's handling out free business tools. MCP at 97 million installs is the infrastructure layer that makes all of this connect.
Yeah, and I think the thread that we've tried to create between both parts of this episode, as parts one and two, is this. We've moved from AI that helps you think to AI that does the work. The founders who are building the instinct for when to delegate, what to verify, and how to brief an AI well, they are building a compounding advantage that will be very difficult to catch up with in, say, 18 months' time.
Delegation at machine speed.
I'm stealing that.
Just
shot.
thought that one. So please do. Next week, we've got another podcast. In fact, it's going to be part 2 of a podcast we did with Luke Passmore. We're going deeper on another specific tool as well. Paul's been watching my screen shares with an expression I can only describe as barely concealed professional envy.
Barely concealed is generous. So before we go, the challenge, we mean it. Write down your 3 admin time sinks. Pick one, sit down with an AI, just ask it to help. Don't overthink it. Tell us what happened, because then what we're going to do is we're going to build it live on our YouTube channel. So your admin nightmare could be our next video.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you haven't already. A review just takes 45 seconds and it generally helps people find our show. We're building the Control Alt Dev YouTube channel. It's live. We're adding tool walkthroughs, behind the scenes content, and the occasional strongly worded opinion in video form. So come find us. Links in the show notes.
So until next Friday, 9 a.m, press Control on the hype, Alt on the narrative, and Dev on what's really happening. We'll see you then.
Bye for now.